Have you ever been sitting in a restaurant, Leo, trying to order something simple, like your favorite dish?
Oh, absolutely, Matt. It happens all the time to English learners. They know the word for steak or pasta, but when they try to explain why they love it, their mind just goes blank.
Exactly. It's like the words are stuck behind a wall in your brain. You know the vocabulary, but the sentence structure, the grammar, it all freezes you.
That feeling of wanting to speak naturally but getting tangled in your own thoughts, it's the worst.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mia.
And I'm Leo.
Welcome to the English Blend. We help you speak English naturally and easily.
Today we're diving into a topic everyone loves, talking about your favorite food in English. We'll use this fun topic to practice easy conversation and unlock your fluency.
It sounds simple, right? Talking about food. But it's the perfect everyday situation where you really need to be fast and clear.
Exactly. So grab your coffee and let's get started.
Leo, before we jump into our own favorite foods, let's talk about that initial block learners face. They worry so much about being perfect.
That brings us to our core idea today, the difference between fluency and accuracy.
I think many students confuse these two things. They believe that if they make 0 grammar mistakes, they are fluent.
That is absolutely not true. Let's define them simply.
Accuracy is about being correct. It's about using the right tense, putting the articles in the right place, and having perfect pronunciation. It's perfection, you know?
Yes, and while accuracy is important for writing essays or passing formal tests, it's not the main goal of conversation.
The main goal of conversation is fluency.
Fluency simply means communication. Can you keep the conversation flowing? Can you exchange ideas without huge, long pauses?
It means you get your point across. That's our first useful phrase, actually.
When you get your point across, it means the other person understands your message, even if your grammar was a little messy.
For example, if I tell you, yesterday I ate delicious pasta restaurant downtown, you understand me, right?
Yes, I understand perfectly. You mean, yesterday I ate delicious pasta at a restaurant downtown. You missed an article and a preposition, but your point was communicated.
Exactly. That is fluency in action. Communication first, perfection second.
And this is where the fear of grammar often hurts learners the most. They focus so much on accuracy that they block their own fluency.
They start self-correcting every single word before it even leaves their mouth.
And that hesitation leads to those long, awkward pauses. The conversation stalls.
Imagine you are trying to describe the best pizza you ever had. You start thinking, wait, is it I have eaten or I ate? Is delicious the right adjective? Should I use was or has been?
By the time you've decided, the moment has passed. The person you're talking to has already moved on to another subject.
This excessive focus on accuracy makes the learner feel like they hit a wall. That's our second key phrase. When you hit a wall, it means you reach a point where you cannot make any more progress. You feel stuck, blocked, or unable to continue. That wall is often made of grammar rules. We need to step back from that wall.
We need to remember that making a few mistakes is absolutely not the end of the world. That's our third key phrase.
If something is not the end of the world, it means it is not a terrible disaster. It's a minor problem that can be easily fixed or ignored. A grammar mistake is definitely not the end of the world. The listener will still understand you, especially in friendly conversation.
We're here today to push through that wall and practice fluency. We'll use the fun context of food to keep things light. So let's start with a classic question. Mia, what is your absolute, no doubt, favorite comfort food?
Oh, that's a great question. It's actually something really simple, you know? I love a good bowl of ramen, specifically a spicy miso ramen.
Ramen is fantastic. Why is that your favorite?
I think it's the combination of textures and flavors. It's savory, it's slightly sweet, and it has that amazing depth of flavor from the broth.
Depth of flavor. That's a fantastic phrase for describing food. It means the flavor isn't simple, it's complex and rich.
Exactly. The noodles have to be perfectly cooked, not too soft, slightly chewy, and the broth must be piping hot.
Piping hot. That means extremely hot, almost steaming. If the broth is piping hot, it makes the experience so much better.
It absolutely does. And the additions, the soft-boiled egg, the thinly sliced pork, maybe a little green onion, it's a complete meal in a bowl.
I agree, it satisfies everything. Now, imagine a learner wants to describe this. They might say, I like ramen. It is good soup, egg, and pig meat is in it.
That's accurate enough to be understood. They got their point across. But if they want to sound more natural, they need those descriptive words.
Words like savory, chewy, piping hot, and depth of flavor. These are chunks of language that we need to practice.
Right, and that brings us perfectly to our first practical tip for achieving fluency.
Practical tip 1, massive input and chunks.
Don't just learn single words, learn phrases or chunks. When you learn the word broth, learn the phrase rich broth or piping hot broth.
These chunks are groups of words that native speakers always use together. They sound natural. Learning them together makes you faster.
Instead of building the sentence word by word, I like this soup, you recall the whole chunk. This soup is incredibly savory.
Think of it like cooking. You don't just put individual ingredients on the plate. You prepare a specific dish using established recipes. Chunks are your recipes for natural speaking.
And massive input means listening to English a lot. Listen to podcasts like this one. Listen to native speakers talk about food. When you listen massively, these chunks sink into your memory naturally. Your brain starts recognizing the patterns. Okay, my turn to ask you, Leo. What food makes you truly happy? What is your comfort food?
That is a very tough question. If I had to choose one, it would be my grandmother's apple crumble.
Apple crumble. That sounds very cozy.
It is the ultimate cozy food. It's the smell when it's baking, filling the whole house, that warm cinnamon aroma.
Aroma. That's a sophisticated word for smell, specifically a pleasant, usually food-related smell.
Exactly, and the texture is key. The apples underneath are soft and slightly tart. Tart means slightly sour, right?
That's right. Not too sweet, but with a slight sharpness.
But then the topping is the crumble. It's crunchy, buttery, and golden brown. That contrast between the soft fruit and the crunchy topping is divine.
Divine, another great descriptive word. It means heavenly or extremely good.
The best part is eating it warm with a dollop of vanilla ice cream melting on top. The hot and cold contrast is perfect.
Just talking about food makes me hungry. It's such a universal topic.
It is, and this is why it's so important for learners to practice describing food. You will inevitably talk about food when traveling, meeting new friends, or socializing.
But what if a learner only knows the simplest adjectives? They might say, my grandma food is good, apples are soft, topping is good.
Again, they get their point across, but they miss the richness of the description. Fluency isn't just about speed, it's also about having the language tools to express nuances.
So how do we move from good to divine or savory? That takes us to the grammar block again.
Most students, when they need to speak, start calculating the grammar. They think, I need to use the past participle here, or I must use the comparative adjective.
This internal calculation slows them down dramatically. They focus on the rules rather than the message.
The grammar calculator is running in the background, consuming all their processing power, and then they hit a wall. They freeze.
We need to teach the brain to bypass the calculator for spoken fluency. This doesn't mean grammar is bad. Grammar helps with accuracy.
But when you are aiming for speed and communication, you must prioritize fluency. You can clean up the accuracy later.
Think of it like driving. When you first learn, you focus on every mirror, every gear shift, every pedal. It's slow and careful. That's accuracy focus.
But once you become a fluent driver, those actions are automatic. You don't think, now I must press the brake. You just do it.
That automatic reaction is what we want in speaking. We want the words and chunks to come out without thinking about the rules.
And that brings us to practical tip 2, the 3-second rule.
Ooh, I love the 3-second rule. It's so effective for breaking the hesitation habit.
When someone asks you a question, you must respond within 3 seconds. It doesn't matter how you respond, only that you do respond.
This forces your brain to grab the best available language chunk, even if it's not the most accurate one. It forces you to prioritize getting the point across.
So if I ask you, Mia, what food did you eat yesterday?
I ate pizza. See? I didn't think about tenses. I used a simple chunk. I ate pizza.
Perfect. If you'd waited 5 seconds, you might have started calculating. Did I use present perfect, simple past? Oh dear!
But by immediately saying, I ate pizza, the conversation keeps moving. And making a simple tense error is not the end of the world. The listener still knows you ate pizza yesterday.
It's a mind trick. It teaches your brain that it's okay to be imperfect as long as you communicate.
Let's practice this idea within the food topic. Leo, describe a food experience that was disappointing. 3 seconds. Go.
3 seconds. I went to a new cafe. The coffee was burnt. It tasted bitter and acidic. I did not finish it.
Brilliant. You didn't pause. You used simple past tense correctly. You used great adjectives like burnt, bitter, and acidic. And if you had made a small mistake, it wouldn't have mattered.
It's the momentum that counts. The 3-second rule forces momentum.
I had a similar disappointing experience recently. I tried to make sourdough bread. It was a total disaster.
Oh no, what happened?
Well, my starter was weak, and I accidentally added salt twice. The final loaf was flat, heavy, and tasted overwhelmingly salty.
That sounds inedible. You definitely hit a wall in your baking journey.
I did. I followed the recipe exactly, but I still failed. It reminded me of when learners try to follow grammar rules perfectly, but still failed to communicate.
That's a great analogy. Following the recipe, grammar rules, doesn't guarantee a delicious result, fluency. You need instinct and practice too.
Speaking of following recipes, let's talk about a cultural note related to food and communication.
I love this part. Tell us.
This is a short story about ordering food when traveling. My friend, who was an excellent English writer but nervous speaker, was in London.
Okay.
She wanted to order fish and chips, a classic dish. She had practiced the exact sentence. May I please have the codfish and chips?
Very accurate. Perfect grammar.
But when she got to the counter, the server, who was quite rushed, said very quickly, "We only got haddock today. Cod's off. Chips with that?"
Oh, rapid fire native English.
Exactly. My friend froze. Her prepared, perfect sentence was now useless because the context changed. She hit a wall.
She probably didn't understand cod's off. It means cod is unavailable, a common idiom.
She just stood there thinking, did he use present tense? What does off mean in this context? What is haddock?
Her accuracy focus completely blocked her ability to respond simply.
She finally managed to say, potato? Thinking chips meant potatoes, which they are, but she didn't realize chips were automatically included. The server looked confused.
That must have been awkward. But I bet she eventually got her point across. Did she get the fish and chips?
Yes, eventually the server, realizing she was struggling, slowed down and pointed to the haddock. She just nodded and said, "Yes, please."
That story illustrates our point perfectly. Even though she knew accurate phrases, her listening skills and lack of flexible vocabulary caused a major breakdown. But simple communication, yes please, and pointing saved the day.
The takeaway here is that flexibility beats perfection. If you don't know the exact word for haddock, you can point and use the chunk, "that one, please." Fluency is about adaptability.
Let's discuss how to build that flexibility. We have more practical tips.
Practical tip 3. Paraphrasing is your friend.
If you don't know the word, describe it. Don't pause. Remember the 3-second rule.
Let's say you're trying to describe a mushroom, but you forget the word mushroom.
Instead of freezing and saying nothing, you could say, it's a small, spongy gray thing that grows in the ground and we put it on pizza.
Fantastic. You might sound a little awkward, but you get your point across immediately. The listener knows exactly what you mean.
This skill is crucial for fluency. It forces you to use the English words you do know, rather than relying on translation or perfect vocabulary.
Let's try it. Leo, describe a sweet potato, but don't use the word sweet potato. 3 seconds.
It is an orange root vegetable. It tastes like a very mild potato, but it is often eaten with brown sugar or marshmallow.
Excellent. You didn't freeze. You used root vegetable and mild potato. High fluency score.
Thank you. It shows that simplicity and speed are better than complicated accuracy.
We need to constantly remind learners a small vocabulary used fluently is always better than a huge vocabulary that you hesitate to use.
Always. Now, let's get back to the food theme for a moment. I want to know about a typical food experience in your culture, Mia. Something that defines a special moment.
Okay, I can tell you about large family dinners. Where I come from, dinner is a huge event.
I imagine lots of talking and lots of food.
Exactly. The most important part of the dinner is not just the dishes, but the sharing. Everything is served family style.
Family style, meaning large portions in the middle that everyone serves themselves from.
Yes, and there's always one dish that is extremely comforting and traditional. Maybe a roasted chicken with herbs and root vegetables.
I can picture that. Now, imagine a learner wants to describe this concept of family-style sharing.
They might say, all food is together, we take with spoon and put on plate. That's functional, but they miss the cultural nuance.
If they had learned the chunk served family style, it would come out naturally and faster. That links back to tip 1. Learn the specific language used for specific situations.
We must always be learning English in contexts, not in lists. When learning about food, learn adjectives, verbs, and nouns related to cooking, eating, and serving.
For example, the verbs to simmer, to sauté, to bake, to roast, and the nouns utensils, cutlery, the check.
If you are at a cafe and you are ready to leave, don't calculate the sentence, "Can I get the paper with the total amount written on it?" Use the chunk, "Could we have the check, please?"
Much faster, much more natural. And if you forget the word check, you can use tip 3, paraphrase. Can we pay now?
Perfect. Let's move on to our final practical tip. This is very important for self-correction.
Practical tip 4, record yourself speaking.
This sounds uncomfortable, I know, but it is essential.
When you record yourself, you stop focusing on speaking in the moment. You shift your focus to listening to your own output afterward.
You can then identify where you naturally paused for too long. That indicates where you hit a wall.
And those long pauses usually happen when you stop to calculate grammar.
Once you know the problem area, say you freeze every time you try to use the past tense, you can go back and practice those specific chunks later.
This practice improves your accuracy, but only after you've secured your fluency. Fluency is the priority when speaking. Accuracy is the refinement step.
So imagine you record yourself describing your favorite cake. You might notice you said, "I like chocolate cake. It tastes sweet, and I eat it all time."
You got your point across, but the accuracy can be improved.
By listening back, you realize you should have said, "I eat it all the time," a chunk, or "it is my favorite."
Then you repeat the sentence 5 times correctly. That reinforces the chunk and corrects the error.
This cycle means that making a mistake when speaking is not the end of the world. It's actually helpful. The mistake shows you exactly what you need to study next.
It turns the mistake from a disaster into a useful data point. It's feedback.
Absolutely. Let's go through a quick review of those key takeaways and phrases just to make sure they stick.
The overall mindset is fluency equals communication, not perfection.
We discussed 3 key phrases for conversational confidence.
Number 1, get your point across, meaning the listener understands you, even if the words aren't perfect.
Number 2, hit a wall. This describes that frustrating feeling when you freeze and can't make any more progress. We want to avoid hitting that wall by focusing on speed.
Number 3, not the end of the world. Remember this when you make a mistake. It's a minor issue, keep speaking.
And our practical tips are designed to get you speaking faster and more naturally.
Tip 1, focus on massive input and chunks. Learn phrases like depth of flavor or piping hot together.
Tip 2, use the 3-second rule. Don't calculate the grammar, respond quickly to build momentum.
Tip 3, paraphrasing is your friend. If you forget mushroom, describe the mushroom.
Tip 4, record yourself speaking. This helps you analyze where you hesitate and turn those mistakes into learning opportunities.
Let's apply all of this to one final food challenge. Mia, describe the process of making your favorite drink. Use simple language and don't pause for more than 3 seconds.
Okay, my favorite drink is iced lemon tea. First, I boil water. I put tea bags in the hot water for 4 minutes. Then I add lots of sugar. I squeeze 1 fresh lemon. Then I add ice cubes. And I stir it all quickly. It tastes refreshing and tangy.
That was excellent. Fast, clear, and you used great descriptive words like refreshing and tangy. I bet you didn't think about the grammar of boil water or squeeze lemon. You just used the chunks.
Exactly. The key is practice, practice, practice. Start talking about the simple things, like what you ate for breakfast, or your last meal at a cafe.
Use these simple, everyday topics to train your brain for speed and confidence. Once you're fluent in describing a plate of food, you'll be much better at describing your workday or your weekend plans.
Remember, we want you to be a fluent communicator, not a perfect grammar textbook.
So, listeners, try recording yourself today. Describe your favorite food, whether it's savory ramen or sweet apple crumble, and see where you pause. Then repeat those sentences using the chunks we discussed.
Consistency is key. Even 5 minutes of practice a day helps you build that natural speaking speed.
We hope this episode has helped you feel more confident about communicating in English. Don't worry about those little errors.
They are not the end of the world. Just keep talking so you get your point across. Don't hit a wall.
That was a great talk. We covered a lot of ground today.
Yes, and next time on the English Blend, we are going to move from the kitchen to the office. We'll be discussing essential phrases for talking about your job.
That's going to be really useful for professional English. We'll teach you new chunks for the workplace.
Thank you so much for joining us. Keep practicing and keep blending.
Yes, see you in the next episode of The English Blend.